Is a cop shortage the reason violent crime is just out of control in downtown Minneapolis? There have been 48 robberies in 3 weeks, and we're going to show you video of one of them. I do want to warn you, it's extremely disturbing. The video of this attack that happened in broad daylight, and many of the robberies have played out like this. You're going to see a large group of people, and what they're doing is targeting pedestrians. In this case, beating their victim into unconsciousness. In many cases, they're stealing wallets, cell phones. Several of the attacks have been caught on camera like this one. It is just savage when you watch it. Officials in Minneapolis do say the police shortage could be one of the causes. CNN correspondent Omar Jimenez is on the story.
The Minneapolis Police Department wouldn't go as far as to say that this was a crisis, but did admit that recruiting was down and could be a factor in the spike in robberies that we have been seeing. Obviously, the footage that we have shown is very shocking viscerally when you just see it for the first time, but it's not happening within a vacuum. It's happening within the context of Minneapolis Police Department asking for more police officers on the street. It's an issue they have put forward to the city council right now, and it's one that the city council is mulling over at the moment. But when you look at the immediate need for why the police department is making this push, in one downtown precinct alone, there were 240 robberies through a little less than 9 months of this year. And the reason that's significant, that is up more than 50% from what we saw at the same time last year. 23 robberies in a single week last month in August. Now, since then, police have arrested 20 people and 18 others have been charged. And we should note that the robberies did drop down to as low as 3 per week in some cases after that arrest. But when you talk about the larger issue, city council isn't quite receiving it as warmly as you might think in regards to the request for more officers. And that's because some argue that, well, policing is just one aspect of public safety. We should invest in a more holistic approach, not just adding more officers. And others argue that they should be more efficient with the resources they currently have before they start thinking about investing more. And regardless of whatever solution they get to, there is no mistaking what has passed. Between just 2 incidents alone last month, that is where we saw 20 arrests and 18 people charged. And in regards to the overall policing numbers and the plan to try and address any officer shortages, the president of the police union there says, well, it's likely their numbers are going to get even smaller before they start trending in the opposite direction. Lynn?
Omar Jimenez, thanks for that. I want to bring in CNN law enforcement contributor Steve Moore. You heard right there, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Do you think this is all a cop shortage problem or sick people?
Well, I think it's probably a combination of both. When you have, most street robberies happen in alleyways, things like that, where they're looking both ways and making sure there's not cops around. When you get 5, 6, 7 people pounding on one person, they're pretty sure they're not going to be seen. So whether it's a cop shortage or whether it's a deployment issue, not deploying enough uniforms visible downtown, I can't tell you right off the bat, but it sure indicates that there is a lack of officers for whatever reason in that area.
You know what disturbs me among the many things watching that video? It seems the suspects here seem to enjoy this assault. At one point, not only are they jumping over this poor pedestrian, they ride a bike over him as if there's like a thrill in it.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. You don't need 9, 6, 7, 8, 9 people to do this. I mean, street robberies happen usually with 1 or 2 people against one. That's what it takes 90% of the time. There is more of a thrill aspect to this, which is, like you say, very disturbing. Because think about this. Say they get a watch, they get a cell phone. Well, now you've got to divide it between what, 6 and 7 people? When you start doing that, you have to do 4 to 5 times the robberies to make the same amount of money. So really, I see a troubling thrill aspect on this, and the fact that they feel that they were acting with impunity.
Yeah. Steve Moore, as always, good to have you.
Thanks for having me.